Hey, we're live, Will.
Yes, sir. We are live. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, sir. I'm glad you're on the mend.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, I was down hard there for a while. My voice is still a little rough, but on the mend, and I really struggled to put a show together last night. I mean, it's quiet out there. It's so quiet.
I don't know if me and you talked about this or me and Dr. Fuller. I have to remind my son, I'm like, bro, things used to be pretty damn quiet. I mean, you would
Hmm.
hear oh, in the Congo, something happened. Like, oh, no, 12 people were killed by some armed group in the Congo. And this is happening. It was small. Now it's just like, you can't keep up.
Yep. Yep.
Do you see
Hey,
where three F-15s got shot down by Kuwaiti or
yeah.
Kuwait?
Yeah. Yeah. Hold my beverage and watch this. Yeah. And I see the fourth service member died.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
sad thing for there, of course. We're gonna dig into this a little bit today with through a little historical perspective in there, and then I don't know if you look through the slides or not, brother,
Mm-mm.
but kind of bend it around to our preparedness stuff a bit too,
Ooh.
because there's some other possibilities out there that could reach out and touch us here at home. I think so.
Are
We got to.
right, with the things that Sarah Adams, of course, we've had her on the show,
Hmm.
has been talking about, and then we had the Singhalese shoot up a place in Austin, and
Yep. Yep.
you know
We're going to touch on that.
some of these other things that happened over the weekend may turn out to be that as well. Some of the stabbings on the interstate and stuff like that.
I saw that one. There was also one in Cincinnati. I'm not sure if I haven't been able to find any details on that one.
Mm-mm.
So,
And that's just it. The news is getting really good at burying things they don't want you to see.
hmm
Mm-mm.
and the stabbing on the interstate in, I believe that was Virginia. Speaking of which, there's Alan Kelly. Good to see you, brother, and Johnny King from Kentucky. Um, that one was reported initially, and it may be what it was a traffic altercation.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't know.
Hey, let me, Johnny King. I was in down in Florida, but a lot of the people that came to the Florida class were from Michigan and Wisconsin, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to move to the South, and maybe Kentucky, Tennessee," and I'm like, "You might want to look into the laws going on in Kentucky." So, Johnny King, if I'm misspeaking there, some of the things I think your the Commonwealth of Kentucky has done in the last 6 years has been a little bit outside your norm there. But if I'm wrong, Johnny, let me know about that. Michael at Zahn says, "Will any?"
Notems.
Oh yeah, any
No,
really?
been quiet actually. In fairness, though, I have not been at work for the last week. I was sicker than a dog, Michael. So, um, but I haven't heard anything. If there's one thing pilots are really good at, we're okay at flying airplanes. We're really good at rumors. Really good at rumors. So sometimes I even start one just to see how long it takes to come back around to me.
Okay, speaking of rumors, what is the rumor about what happened in El Paso? Because that one went away quick as well.
Radio silence. Haven't heard a
Really?
thing. Yes,
Hmm,
nothing.
that's crazy, man. All right, I have a heart out at 9, and Will has
Okay.
put a jam-packed show together for you
Yep.
this morning. Thank you to the 8 folks watching us live. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. This is on YouTube. If you want to sit down and watch it on your TV, on your smart TV, go ahead and join us on YouTube, American Warrior Society channel. If not, keep watching from your laptop or your phone. Without much further ado, what do you got for us, Will?
All right, here. Fear greed index, our standard start. Uh, 43 last night, 38 this morning.
Hmm.
Market's going to go down. Oil's going to go up. Pretty much what you'd expect. Pretty much everything across the board is down.
What about
Um,
commodities today? You think gold and silver is
Commodities.
going to go?
Silver surprisingly is flat. Gold's up about 2% right now. Oil for some reason's up 9% last I looked. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, seems a lot
Flat. I
more.
mean, silver was $94 over the weekend. Let's see what it
Yeah.
is now. It's
Uh,
95. Will it went up a damn
yeah.
dollar?
Uh,
$95
gold's
for a freaking ounce of silver.
gold's right at 5,400 right now. We'll see.
It's up $128 from last night, so they're both up.
Yeah, they're both up. Oil, I don't know. In okay, full disclosure, on Friday I took a flyer and bought some call options on USO, which is a oil fund for this coming Friday. I'm going to cash a little check here this morning after the show with that. So maybe this is just me wishful thinking a little bit, because if this settles down pretty quick, and by pretty quick I mean within say a month or so, I wouldn't be surprised to see oil come right back down, because I think there's a bigger game afoot. And you and I talked about this through text. I didn't really address it in the show, but let's go ahead and hit it now before we get into the other stuff.
Sure.
I'm wondering, I think Trump gets too much credit sometimes for 4D chess. Okay. Full disclosure, voted for the man 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I think he gets a little too much credit from the right on, oh, he's playing 4D chess. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes maybe. This time I'm starting to think maybe he is. So let's noodle through some things here. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, text from one of the neighbors. Want to make sure there wasn't something going on. So let's look at Venezuela. We take Venezuela, oil, and India starts taking said oil. And we can process that oil in our refineries. It's super sour oil. That puts pressure on China because Venezuelan oil was going to China. Now we take out the leadership of Iran. China was getting oil from Iran, and they were purchasing it in yuans. So now China's going to start feeling squeezed. Now, this is the one where I'm going to make some conjecture here. Let's just say that suddenly Trump says to Putin, you know what? If you stop where you are in Ukraine, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
On the condition you stop selling oil to China. Then we're getting some squeeze on China because China has to import basically everything. They have very few to no natural resources in China. Mm-hmm. You can choke them off real fast doing that. Mm-hmm. So we
did the same. You and I talked about this over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We did the same thing, to Japan, and
mm-hmm.
they submitted their 14-point grievance with us via Cordell Hull, look what happened. We tried to choke them off with oil as if they're just going to be like, all right, I guess we'll just, go back to horse and buggy. It ain't happening. China's got to have it, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get it. So yeah. I don't know if the 4D chess plan is in state is to go to war with China, then I think we're going about it pretty damn swiftly.
Yeah. And that of course is the downside. The Team Red and that media side will say, this is 4D chess, we're choking China off. And Team Blue, if they come out and say, you know what, this could cause a war with China, they could be right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, we'll see how it shakes out. For sure it's squeezing China. No two ways about that.
Can we back up? We just flew right past it. So you're saying there's no in the region that is currently in conflict, there's no NOTAMs over there?
Oh, the around Iran?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there are.
Okay. You're just talking about continental United States.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I guarantee if you look at a map of Iran, there's nobody overflying that. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this shakes out vis-a-vis China and our relations with them. But, it would go a long ways towards, let's figure something out, as far as trade, as far as all that. It's hard to negotiate unless you're in a position of strength. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see what happens here.
Let's introduce some folks onto the show. Bruce is on. Come on, Bruce. We've got Tony is on down in Georgia. Johnny King says, as far as he's aware, it's still a good state for weapons ownership and self-defense. Yeah, no question about it. I guess I was really talking about taxation and some other things with their laws up there. But Steve Marks is on. Says oil was predicted to go up because of closure of the Straits of Hormuz.
Let's pause there for just 1 second.
Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead.
And the other thing to watch there with the Strait, insurance companies really control the shipping industry. And if you can't get an insurance policy, it's just going to sit right there at the dock and look pretty.
Yep.
So this happened in the 80s with Reagan, with tensions between Iran and Iraq and all that, drama over there. And the U.S. government had to go in and tell the insurance companies, we'll backstop you. So we will see a rise in oil prices here. We also will see a rise in the insurance rates for these tankers. Who was the big one? Maersk said, we're just not taking anything through there, period.
And didn't some tankers hit mines back then and stuff like that back in the 80s?
Yes,
during
they did.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And so I've been watching over the weekend, to see if there's any reports on what the insurance companies are doing. Right now, they're just raising rates. So if they come out and say, we're just not going to write a policy, period, then that will have an ongoing effect until they get to their happy place to write those policies again. Is that mine clearing? Is that capitulation from Iran? Who knows? But that could well have an effect that people are not expecting.
Yeah, well said.
So, yep. And I see John Shriver's on from Yukon, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Derek is on. Matt is on. Will Rhodes is on. Got a lot of folks on this morning. And I'm seeing who's liked the show. And Rasmic is in the house. Nick Higgins is in the house. And Nick gave a powerful sermon yesterday. It was pretty freaking fantastic. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Oh, there he is. Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Let's go on here to the next slide.
Yeah.
All this pissed me off then, and it really pisses me off now.
Yep. So, I'm sympathetic to the view of, can't just go around bombing in Trump's words, bombing the shit out of countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iran's bad guys. Don't anybody mistake me on that. Okay. But, it's, there's a history here. And of course we can go back to, 79 with the hostages, right? At the embassy. But there's been more than that. Much of the media likes to just say, well, since 79, it's been pretty quiet. No, not at all.
Not at all.
Okay. And let's remember also, as we're talking about how this could be a 4D chess move, Russia gets many, 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 many of their drones from Iran. That just shut off. Okay. So that plays into it as well. And I forgot to mention that earlier.
Most of my friends that got killed, during OIF and OEF were killed by Iranian IEDs, man.
Yep.
The blood of Americans are all over that regime. So good riddance.
Yep, absolutely. And Soleimani was a big player in that. He was the leader of Iran making those inroads into the militias in Iraq.
That's right.
And we know what happened to him. So there's a history here, and it's not, 1979 to 2026. It is not, we went from one side to the other. There's an entire history here. And this one was, if I remember correctly, the one with the picture here, it was GPS spoofing. These guys thought they were outside of territorial waters, and Iran was able to prove they were in there. The reason they were there is their GPS got spoofed. So this is something to, keep in mind, right? So my point of this slide was that people forget about all this other stuff, right? And now that we're not in Iraq anymore the way we were, your point to the IEDs and the funding and organization there, people don't think about that.
Yeah.
Right. So a little bit of context here before we move on to the next one. Note the date on this one, January 12th of 2016. Okay.
Yeah. And here's another thing that I don't know what we're doing with it, but our special forces, special operating forces, whether that's SEALs, MARSOC, Force, pick your thing there. They're trained on GoPlat, which is how to take down gas and oil platforms. I don't know why. Maybe we are taking them down and it just hasn't made the news yet. But there's a very rich target, and we could be snatching those things up like it's cool, like it's pieces on a chessboard. And maybe we are. I don't know.
Could be. You will note the date on this, September 7th, same year. So 9 months later, call it. Decided to give a whole bunch of money to Iran. Okay. This money given, refunded. Refunded is actually the more accurate word. This is money that was frozen during the Iranian hostage crisis. It was 400 million sticks in my head was the original. Maybe it
Mhm.
was 300 million. It was right in there. With interest, 1.7 billion, proving yet again the power of compound interest. And sent it over to them. Now,
It was money that they had, if, as I understand it, the money they had given to us to purchase F-16s, F-14s, something,
yep,
and of course we froze it when they took over the embassy.
yes, correct. And so under Obama, they refunded this money with interest. Now,
Jeez.
you know, on the one side you can go, well, it was their money, it was frozen, we held on to it after it was all resolved. Okay, you can make that argument. Not saying I agree with it, you can just make that argument. The other side of that is, why are we funding people who are regional funders of terrorism, right? Just say, yeah, no, not happening. You know, um, there would be more, even just off the top of my head, more creative ways to handle that.
And
Oh,
how did?
we're gonna use that for food for our people. Oh
Oh,
well, we make lots of food. Here's airplanes full of grain, and so this is not the only time we sent them pallets and literally pallets of money, because they didn't want dollar bills. They wanted euros. This went
okay.
over there
Time
in
out.
euros.
That's There's a little bit more to it than that. Now, the
Okay.
reason that Obama sent them euros and other denominations in an unmarked flight in another foreign country is to get around U.S. laws governing these kinds of transactions. That's why.
Really? I did not realize that.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. It was him getting around U.S. law to give this money.
I did not realize that.
Yes, sir. And,
Okay.
and here's the thing, John Hearn, I interviewed John Hearn Friday morning. And if you don't know John, shame on you. I mean, he's kind of the guy coming behind Dr. William April and doing a lot of stuff that he did. Anyway, he said, we talked about being a cop. A lot of times it's overwhelming force immediately so that I don't have to do it later. I come in,
Mm-hmm.
hey, fellas, what's going on? And then it gets really ugly. I come in, I snatch somebody up, and it sets a tone, and people kind of cuff up quicker. It's the same thing to me with Iran. If the Carter administration had gone in there and smacked the shit out of them right then, give our people back, or I'm going to turn Iran into a glass parking lot, just you're going to have to do something, because if not, you keep kicking the can down the road, and then
Mm-hmm.
here we are today. This was preordained the minute they overthrew the Shah.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And I love to see what I'm seeing in Pakistan right now. They breach the gate, and the Marines are putting them in the ground.
Yep.
Headshots, bang, bang, bang. You kill 20 something of them. Guess what? They all run away.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at how we handled Iran, like, yeah, all right, do some smoke grenades, and then everybody surrender. Don't shoot anybody. And look what happened. When you project weakness, this kind of crap happens. That's maybe I'm a little bit more bellicose than some, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's no different than any other situation, whether it be the local stop and rob. You know, um, if a guy starts walking up to you with a gas can, you know what scam he's running, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just you set the tone right away, right?
Bingo.
So, all right, so I'm gonna ask you to load up the video there with a link on the bottom, brother. It's only about 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
Note the date here, guys. A week or so ago. Okay. See what you can find, and this is something I try to do when I watch these things. Try to notice what's missing in this 30 seconds of old Chuck Schumer. It's
Shaky Chuck.
yeah. So this is immediately after the Gang of Eight got their briefing from Marco Rubio about the situation in Iran, and just I believe it was the day before the State of the Union, or maybe the day of. You ready for it, brother?
Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Let me share the screen here. Let's see TV, folks.
Then after that, just leave YouTube up, because we've got a few more here later on, or Don't close that
Okay.
window in the background.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's as you're getting that queued up there, whether it be Chuck or somebody else, they're more than happy to take their shots at Trump, and some of that's just politics. It's just fine. But see if you can notice what's missing here, guys.
Okay, I'd say, look, closed door briefings are fine, but the administration has to make its case to the American people as something as important as this.
What do you expect?
Okay.
All right. So you'll notice there's no, this is BS. This is Trump being a warmonger. This is just the Republicans loving war. There was none of that. Why was that?
Mhm.
Okay. And that was when I first watched that. That was the biggest thing that struck me.
Mm.
It was like, huh. And that was when I went, okay, we're going. And if he could make some sort of argument for it, even if he's not divulging classified information, he could be like, yes, Secretary Rubio briefed us on the situation in Iran. I believe there is a diplomatic path to peace or whatever. There was none of that. So what is it they were told in there? We'll never know, of course.
Yeah.
But I think what's missing there speaks louder than anything he said.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Now it looks like we've got, let's see here. That's not it.
Okay. So
You want me to go to that one now?
Yeah, go to this one here. This is this one's a couple minutes long. This is as you set that one up there, brother.
Mhm.
This is the shooting down in Austin at the bar. And this is going to segue us into the second part here of the show. And this is where I think it was Alan Kelly says something about, stay aware out there. And we're gonna dig into this a little bit and talk about some possibilities out there. We know what the southern border has been like the last number of years until recently here. You ready with it, brother?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, just hit it. So
Okay.
this is something that I am concerned is going to become more common. So let's watch this report here. It's a minute and a half.
Okay.
Again, Alex Thorne, I'm the acting special agent in charge for the San Antonio field office of the FBI. We want to extend our deepest condolences as well to the victims and their families of this tragic incident. I also want to sincerely thank Austin Police Department and the officers for their extremely rapid response to the incident. There is no doubt that those officers saved countless lives with their quick reaction and quick training to respond to the shooter and address the threat. The FBI is working in lockstep with our partners, with Austin Police Department. We have members from our evidence response team, as well as our many other specialty teams, including our digital forensics folks that are on scene, helping to address the scene and gather additional evidence. Obviously, it's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism. Again, it's still too early to make a determination on that. That's why we're investigating it very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department. I just want to say, conclusion, we are committed to seeing this process through to the very end, and we will continue to work very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department.
All right, so we're going to dig into the details of. It was early on, so I'm not trying to throw stones at the speaker there. We know now there are links to terrorism there, right?
Oh, yeah.
But a couple things I want to throw out there with that. Number one, there was an ambulance, and I'm not saying this caused any harm to anyone, but there was one of those, Waymo, the automated taxi car, Waymo, something like that, that turned sideways in the street, and this ambulance couldn't get by. There's no driver in the car. I saw pictures and footage of that. So something, I'm not saying there's anything nefarious of that. The thing probably freaked out because of everything that was going on. So the point is that there could be something odd that hinders response to that, whether it be medical or police. But also, you notice it looked like just about every cop in Austin showed up at that bar.
Yeah.
What happens if there's 2 or 3 of these? I mean, go light off one, right? Let everybody get there. I mean, we don't have to go full, Hollywood on this and block every street so they can't get out of there. But once they're all in there, they're a little bit gridlocked, right? And then light off something else and something else, right? So to that same point, the police response time on this was incredibly fast. The reports I read was 1 minute.
Wow.
Now this is down in the party zone of Austin, 6th Street. And so there's cops patrolling there, hence the very quick response, which is awesome that they were there and they handled business and they put the bad guy down. That's all awesome. But what happens if the bar you're at isn't in that area? Right? So let's think this through here. So you brought up Sarah Adams before. I timestamped these posts for context here, guys. Oh, excuse me. Turned out she was right on this one here. Austin attacker is Islamist born in Senegal. Blah blah blah. He is a U.S. citizen. That turned out to be true, and she prefaced that as she should with this preliminary information. And then she reposted suspect in the mass shooting is I don't know how to pronounce that. His name, American citizen born in Senegal, living in Pflugerville, which I believe is right next to Whoville. But Pflugerville also has a rep as a deeply Islamist. Notice I did not say Muslim, I said Islamist area. And a Quran was found in the car. Okay. So it has long been posited by Sarah Adams and others, 9/11 2.0, right? Multiple attacks, multiple threats across the country, and we're going to dig into that here. And this is where I want to go from here on the show is let's talk this through. Let's think about how we respond to these things if we got caught up in this, right? Because this is the more pertinent threat to us here in the States with everything happening in Iran. And
that's a fact.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, this is interesting because he's from Senegal. We had another one in Seattle where the guy was a Muslim from Sierra Leone, illegal immigrant, that attacked 2 police officers with a ambush. That happened 4 or 5 days ago. So these little pinprick attacks happening all over America.
Yeah. So, yep. And so this one she posted after that was a repost. Circled the block several times. Now, could that somebody just looking for a parking spot in a congested area where there's a lot of bars and restaurants? Yeah, sure could be. But pay attention to how that person is behaving as they're doing it. If somebody's looking for a parking spot, you can tell. Was he working up the nerve? Was he checking? First 2 times by, maybe there were cops right outside the bar. I don't know, but pay attention to those things. Okay. Now you'll notice here, based on this report from Austin PD chief, circle the block several times before firing a pistol from the vehicle. So get people's heads down, get a reaction, right? And there's videos out there. If you go on Twitter, there's a video out there from across the street when everything starts up. Somebody happened to be taking video because everybody does now, right? And then exited with a rifle and continued to fire. Police arrived within a minute and put him down. Solid work, right?
Yeah.
But what happens if you're not in an area that has that, right? So this is where, the flip side is if you're in an area where it's not that congested, somebody's not going to circle 2, 3, 4 times looking for a parking spot when there's half a dozen readily available. So, preaching to the choir here and hoping that, we can preach to a few new people too.
Yeah.
As your brother said, the fight's coming, be ready.
That's what
So,
it's called.
and sadly, I am concerned that they're going to bring more fight.
Yeah.
So, so this is something where we're setting up here the next parts of this. If only there was a clue here. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure the left hates this because it's everything that Trump's been warning us about.
Yep. And
it's not a white Amish man. Spoiler alert.
Correct. And apparently the shirt underneath the sweatshirt there had something to do with Iran, is according to some reports out there. So, luckily he wasn't wearing plates, which that just complicates the problems, which obviously there's solutions to. But be prepared for that, guys. If these folks have been here and they're getting prepared, there's no background check to order plates, right? Mm-hmm. So,
and thank God for that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I agree. And Alan brings up an excellent point. Church security. Get after it, guys. Be there. Yeah. Carry when you're at church. Okay.
And train. Get your 50 dry fire reps in every freaking morning, folks.
Yep. Exactly.
Go to the range.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. If and this is what I do. I work out here at home. My rest between sets is dry fire. So I'm out of breath. Even if I'm, on the treadmill, doing cardio, I'll stop every now and then and do dry fire reps while I'm out of breath. So, this is
at the range. We use a sandbag. We got a 90-pound sandbag, and we'll run with it up, down, and then grab the gun and, try to make that 25-yard shot.
I don't suggest doing your dry fire reps if you're at LA Fitness, though. Just throwing that out there for you.
They frown at that for some reason.
Yeah, they so this one, I'm sure you remember this one, brother.
I do, man. Let's cue this thing up. This is if you have not seen this, you need to, and you need to share it with whoever needs to see this because this is bad. Let's see here. At the stage, we need to remember.
Cue this up for you guys. This is CNN. I think it was a live broadcast. Can't remember for sure. This was at the southern border when it was wide open under the Biden administration. And this gentleman you see here with the gray shirt with looks like a denim jacket on is going to be the speaker in this. Mm-hmm. Listen carefully to what he says.
Very carefully.
By the way, if you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am. Very easy.
Wow, very easy. The entitlement.
No, believe me, I'm much better than that.
The entitlement, guys. Wow.
You will see soon. Please, by the way, if you are
you have to take these people at the word, man. And who did he turn out to be?
He was a former guest, valued member at Club Gitmo.
Mm-hmm. And guess what he did? He just walked across the open border.
Nobody knows where he is as far as I'm able to find.
He's still here doing. I'm sure he's, got a job at a 7-Eleven and going to be a good American citizen.
I'm sure. But let's think about our American. You're going to know who I am soon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, we're short-term thinkers here in America.
Man, we sure are.
Okay. Oh, well, it's been 2 weeks. I mean,
nothing happened.
Right. Well, their idea of soon might be 5 years, 10 years, right?
Takes a long time to develop infrastructure for a large-scale attack, just FYI.
It does. Think about when you and I started doing this, brother, and they printed all the money during COVID, and we were like, inflation's coming. And I can't tell you how many friends and family members are like, okay, whatever. And 6 months later, they're like, see, not here. There's no inflation. I'm like, just wait. Yeah. And sure enough, when 9% hit, they were like, oh, no, this is just
transitory.
Or this or that or the other thing. there was a long enough lag there that people didn't put those two things together. Okay. Excuse me. And same thing here. People, there's going to be a long enough lag here between the open border and all that whole situation and anything that, God forbid, happens. Okay. And Ted brings up a good point. Bad actors will not self-deport. You know,
wow, he's here for a reason, man.
Exactly.
You know, and Dr. Fuller says, when I train and I want to be out of breath, I use an 8x10 glossy of Will and Rich. Man,
you know, if we really, you know, if we really want to get him out of breath, we could sign it.
True.
Yes, we could. We'll see. He was late to the show, so maybe we won't. Yeah. So, all right. This is a Hezbollah member. And he was captured by Border Patrol agents in El Paso in March of 2024 and immediately held in custody. He reportedly told investigators he was going to go to New York and make a bomb.
Damn. Why would he do that?
You know, probably he's probably a big Trump supporter, and New York votes blue.
That's true.
Yeah. So this is
okay. Can I don't know if you have this in here, Will, but I sent it. I didn't send it to you over the weekend. I sent it to somebody else, but it showed Mondani and one of his police commissioners, one of his fire commissioners, and somebody else, and they were all doing their, you know, morning Zura prayer, afternoon, whatever it was, and they were all in uniform, and it was just like, man, we've been conquered, bro. 25 years is all it took. You know, if you would have said, how long is it going to take for them to conquer us? I'd have said, well, I don't know, 100 years, maybe 500. It took 25. In 25 years, you know, from the falling of the World Trade Center and us vowing to put a stop to this, and you look at that leadership of New York City is doing a Muslim prayer in uniform in the middle of the day.
So I saw that same video, as I'm sure just about everybody did.
If you haven't, go watch it. Jeez.
It got me thinking. Okay. And I'm gonna start over there, and I might surprise you with what I'm gonna say.
Okay, good. Do it.
So initially I was like, you know, why does everybody have a problem with this? It's the man's faith, right? Well, here's the thing, but stay with me.
I'm with you.
Heart rate down. Okay. Deep breath. Cold as a bedrock. So initially that's what I thought. And it's like, okay, but had a mayor of fill in the blank town, I presume required, I'll use the word required, these other officials to say a Christian prayer, the left would have lost their minds. And that was where I went, okay, yep, nope, bad. Okay, because I try to be open-minded about this stuff and look at it from both sides. But, you know, we can't have the 10 Commandments in the school, right?
Yeah.
But these other officials can be required to do that. And I don't know which one it was. One of them looked clearly uncomfortable.
I'm not doing it. You can fire mine.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not Muslim. I'm not going to do it. Somebody else wants to do it. Okay, fine. It's America. That's their right. But I'm not going to do it. But one of the guys, if you rewatch the video, one of the guys looks clearly uncomfortable. He's like, I ain't getting paid enough for this.
Shame on you, man. Shame on you for doing that.
Yeah. So, so I mean,
here's the thing, and you said it earlier, and I let it fly by, but I you know, you said, notice I'm not saying Muslim, I'm saying Islam. To me, there's no difference. But my views do not reflect the views of the American Warrior Society, LLC, and yada, yada, yada. But I'm just saying, there is a good Muslim must conquer. That's their doctrine. That's the Quran. That is the dictates of the Blessed Muhammad, freaking whatever. And, you know, it's a virus, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've spent my adult life fighting this, and until we're ready to really call it out, you can't defeat it. This is like Mattis said, you know, what would you do if you had to solve this problem? So I'd spend the first in an hour. I'd spend 55 minutes just finding the problem, and then the last 5 minutes aggressively, ruthlessly attacking it. Yeah. And it's the same, I would say the same thing here, you know. So the previous administrations that won't even call it, you know, what it was, to me, it's like, well, we're never going to solve it. It's just going to gain ground, which it has.
Yep. let's hit a couple comments here. What's Dr. Fuller say there about
It's not just a Christian prayer that gets you
his
jammed up.
previous one there?
Here we go.
There you go.
If I were in the U.S. and was of ill intent, I would bide my time until the Democrats are back in office. That way, I get federal apologists defending me and my illicit actions. Wow.
Yeah.
What's Tony say?
He read an estimate of 18,000 trained terrorists in the U.S. From open border, 19 carried out 9/11. Let's stay on that for just a second. That was, oh gosh, the gentleman's name just jumped out of me, Joe Kent.
Yeah.
And that was testimony in front of Congress. Was
Do you know who he
18,000
is?
number? Not really.
Yeah, he's a former Task Force Orange guy. So,
Okay.
and his wife was killed in a bombing. I mean, if anybody knows, I would say Joe probably knows. But let's forget that. Let's say there's 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right where I was
freaking
gonna
18
go.
to me.
Yep.
Yeah, take a zero off. It's 1,800. My God, if he's order of magnitudes wrong and we start subtracting, dude, it's still freaking way too many. And what was the purpose of the open border to begin with? And if okay, let's say they're so stupid they just want to grow more Democrats. That was truly what the left was trying to do. I just want to grow more Democrats, and I'm willing to put the whole nation and our way of life at risk. Then you're not a political party, man. You're part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yep. And let's go back to DC Sniper, right?
Yeah,
that was two guys in a crappy Chevy Caprice.
that's right.
Right, trying to cover up. He wanted to kill his ex-wife.
But he was Muslim, wasn't he? Might be a clue in there. He was. His name was freaking Mohammed.
Yeah. Right.
If only there was an AI engine strong enough to connect dots that you and I just can't, because we're.
Yeah, we ain't got one of them. So I like your point. Knock a zero off that. Make it 1,800. Make it 18. Imagine 9 DC snipers running around the country. 9 teams.
God.
Right. And that's it. Doesn't take much. Vast majority of the population that's pretty soft to, bring things to a screeching halt.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's Brian say there?
Brian says Texas is no longer a staunch conservative state. Major cities in Texas have become extremely liberal, with Houston and Austin leading the pack. Islamic, Muslim, residential, and political expansion is rampant, particularly in North Texas. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. Johnny says, how many cartel members that are in bed with Islam are in the country? Well, there's a scary nexus, isn't it? My gosh.
Yep. And an argument that's been made in the past as far as the cartels go is, well, the cartels don't want to see America attacked because that's their bread and butter, right? Mm-hmm. What's been going on in Mexico?
Yeah.
And we know without the pushing from America right now, that would not be happening. Otherwise, it would have happened before, right? Mm-hmm. So, at some point, they're going to want meaning the cartels are going to want some payback.
Yeah.
Right. So, this one's out there of the guys that I see on live here on Facebook. You guys are probably all familiar with this, but let's hit the points. 9/11 2.0. I got introduced to this through Sarah Adams' interviews, which, as you said, she's been on the show before. This is multiple coordinated terrorist attacks. Mumbai I put down here as the test. I think it's one of many tests for this. Mm-hmm. We're going to show up just some, the next couple slides here. We're going to throw some screenshots of some videos that I recommend you guys watching the Mumbai attack. They're both on YouTube. They're free.
There's a movie out there too. I need to watch that.
I watched both of them. They're both quite good.
Do you know the names off the top of your head? Because I will definitely check them out.
I don't, but I'll put it up in the Quinn members. It won't get done. Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
No problem. The running theory on these attacks is it'll actually start with hospitals in medium-sized cities, 100 to 500,000 population. The idea being they don't have a full-time SWAT team that's on duty, like a Chicago, like a Dallas, like wherever.
Phoenix,
right? Yeah. Exactly. So and they're going to go after the trauma centers. Because then when the follow-on attacks occur, where are you going to take your wounded people? And those initial attacks in the hospital, the plan goes, there's going to be a stay-behind force.
Mhm.
So this is what's out there, okay? Schools, daycares, grocery stores, and we're based on history, we're conditioned to think, okay, it'll be, an attack here, like at that bar in Austin, or what have you, right? Whether it be a school shooting, or whether it be something as terrible as a Beslin, right? Went on over a course of days. Well, when Sarah Adams' latest interview on Sean Ryan, she was saying this might go on for days and then take a break for a period of time and then fire them back up. So this could be an ongoing situation, at least for a day or two, until everybody, until we track everybody down and take care of the problem. But how do you know when you've taken care of the problem? Because these are, again, based mainly on her interviews. These are decentralized. So you can take out one group and you can get a hold of them and you can interrogate them and you can question them and all these things. They don't know about the other groups.
Oh, compartmentalization, buddy.
Exactly. So they're evil. They're not stupid.
That's right.
So, it's easy to fall into the trope kind of from the GWAT, a bunch of booger eating morons. Well, let's face it, they got more. I guarantee I know they got more gunfighting experience than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they've been doing it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be, the idiot who walks into fill in the blank and cranks a couple rounds off into the ceiling and then starts randomly shooting people. This will be coordinated. Look at the Mumbai stuff. Watch these videos we're going to put up there because this is what they're planning. The Mumbai attacks were decentralized. They were calling back to Afghanistan, getting instructions. The guys in Afghanistan were watching the media. They were watching the internet. So the live coverage outside of the hospital, as those responders move into position to do anything, that's being communicated back to the attackers inside. So, take your pick: Telegram, Signal, cell phone calls, and the good with big air quotes on that. The good news of them needing those communication resources is we're still going to have them available too.
Mm-hmm.
So that will help us communicate with our family, our group. Okay, here's what's going on. And the way I've put this to my family is if this starts, there isn't going to be any, oh, is this it? Or is this just a singular attack? You're going to know. Because the whole point of this is it's going to crank off in multiple cities simultaneously. So we can imagine what the social response will be to this. And by social, I mean the vast majority of people are just going to run in. It's going to be sheer panic. And by panic, what I mean is no rational thought, So if this happens, God, I hope it does not happen. But if this cranks off, it will change this country forever.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, one event on 9/11. Look what we got. We got the TSA, Homeland Security, and frickin' the Patriot Act and loss of freedoms for American citizens. This is not.
Yep,
it doesn't end well for us.
And that was, Bin Laden's. He was a lot of things, but he told the truth a lot of times too. He said Beslin was the test run for America, right? The Mumbai attacks actually, that was also a test run for America, and we see this as Americans. We go, oh, there was an attack. There was an attack. There was an attack. These are, from their standpoint, these are attacks, but these are also pieces of a bigger plan, and they're testing through attacks pieces of that larger plan.
Mhm.
And the same way, Westerners in general are not good at understanding the bigger picture on these things. I think partially because society doesn't want to admit that it could happen, is, we don't want to admit that it could happen. They could put together something like this. Now, the border being wide open, I didn't, you're on a hard out today, and we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. But there's a gentleman, his name escapes me. He and a group they scour the southern border and pick up passports that they find that have been
Oh, yeah.
discarded. And I'll see if I can find that one as well. He's got it out there on Twitter, and it's 3-ring binders, just full of passports, page after page after page from terrorist sponsored areas.
Mhm.
So they're here now. The argument can be made, well, not everybody from fill in the blank, Iran, who gets it,
Senegal.
right? Not everybody who comes here from this terrorist sponsoring state like Iran has bad intentions. Okay, I can see that argument, and I'm sure there's people who want to escape Iran, right? But how many does it take?
Mm.
Right, and that's
It goes back to
the
the M&M thing Dr. Fuller and I talked about.
yeah, exactly.
Poison M&Ms. How many you gonna eat? How many you gonna let your children eat? That's the
Exactly.
bigger question.
Exactly.
Because that's what we're doing. We're allowing this to go into the next generation.
So I encourage everybody, double check your supplies. And I'm speaking medical supplies specifically.
Mhm.
Quick clot expires, guys. So
Good point.
so keep that stuff close by. Keep your situational awareness up. Be ready. Period. Dot end. I mean,
Yeah.
even more so than usual, because this desperate people do desperate things, right? So if Iran really starts getting desperate here, I mean, they went down through their constitution, and whoever's in charge now is in charge. And I think did I read that the guy who took over is already dead?
I don't know.
I think that was the case. But whatever it is, when they really start feeling pressure, like, okay, this is the end. And we know Scott Bessent came out and said, yeah, we're watching millions of dollars flow out of Iran to safe havens, Switzerland, Caribbean, banks, things like that. But if it comes down to, yeah, we're going to die, okay, 1, 2, 3, whatever their magic code is,
Yeah.
and light it off. So
let's go back to the coordinated attacks, because it's not always just kinetic. Our water supply is vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Our freaking electrical infrastructure is vulnerable. You go to Thompson Bowling Arena, or you go to Neyland Stadium. There's 106,000 people you can put in there. Tennessee's an agricultural state. It wouldn't be anything for a couple of dudes to buy a big agricultural drone to crop dust and put some tanks of name your virus and just, because I wouldn't imagine that there's sophisticated anti-drone technology over every single outdoor venue in this country. Hell no. We are incredibly vulnerable to some sort of asymmetric attack.
Yep.
And again, to your point about money flowing out that could finance some of this stuff. So you get the people to walk across the border, and then the money flows in for them to do something. And like you said, they're not coordinated. They're compartmentalized. So yeah, you can mow their ass all you want, send them to Syria and let somebody with a DeWalt drill go to their knees, and it's not going to make a difference because they don't know about these other people.
Yep, for sure. And Derek brings up a point here. Kurt Schlichter's book, The Attack. I'm not familiar with that one. Fictional book about a coordinated terrorist attack in the U.S. It's a scary point. There's a number of interesting, good fiction books out there about such a thing. Read those. I've read a couple of them, guys. Read up on those, because it'll get not. And obviously, those guys do or don't know what's going on, but fiction writers have a good imagination. And there's a reason DHS and the like red team potential threats to the country with fiction writers. Brad Thor was the first one who came out and talked about it because they were like, you guys have the imagination.
Yeah.
And so read those books, just if nothing else, to get your mind going. What are the possibilities here, right? And understand that, like, and watch these Mumbai things we're going to throw up there. Understand that it will be multiple attackers if something like this occurs. It's not going to be like, oh, we think of it as now typically, there's an active shooter, singular. Mm-hmm. So if I hear gunfire from over there and I have my family, I'll go that way. Well, that may not work this time.
I got news for you. Gunfire in an urban setting is bouncing off of walls, and you're not going to know where the hell it's coming from.
Yeah.
That's just sadly part of it. Tony says, pick a Tom Clancy book. And Jeff talks about the stupid crap going on. In Nashville, you got white leftist women protesting for Iran and hijabs. They're putting on hijabs and crying for the death of this regime. And on the other side of town, Iranian women are celebrating the bombing and removing hijabs and stuff like that. Like, it's lunacy, man. Absolute lunacy.
And to that, before we get to Johnny King's comment, because I really like Johnny's comment, but to Jeff's, we've become such a knee-jerk country in this. How does anybody protest in favor of the Iranian regime? Didn't they just kill thousands of protesters?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. I didn't like the Biden administration. I didn't like the Obama administration. But when they did something that was, good, I mean, if nothing else, just keep your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. It's their right. And that's awesome. They're exercising their rights. Doesn't mean they're right or smart. But
let me go, since we're doing this, picking books, because it's Tom Clancy. You and I talked about it because I think you read them too. Dalton Fury's books.
Mm-hmm.
I read them. I highly recommend them. They're fantastic. Dalton Fury was actually the pen name of the late Major Tom Greer and from Delta Force, and he wrote some really good ones. And one of them was about coming across the southern border into El Paso with man pads, surface to air missiles, SA-7s, whatever they were, it doesn't matter, but in the hands of terrorists and with the intent to shoot down commercial airliners. I think they only had like 8 or something like that. But guys, and I'm reading right here off of the Libya post-2011, the Gaddafi regime, there are thousands, with some estimates reaching 10 to 20,000 older SA-7s missing from looted warehouses. Iraq post-2003 invasion, the U.S. government suggestion that there are 6,000 man pads unaccounted for. Mm-hmm. All it takes is 3 to probably destroy our economy, shooting down 3 domestic airlines here in the United States. I mean, that's the one that really scares the crap out of me, whether it's viral or shooting down commercial airliners. Scares the crap out of me because it's easy.
And back to your you brought up 9/11 before. The real damage of 9/11, and I say this from a strictly numbers standpoint, guys, if anybody had family that passed away on 9/11, the ongoing effect on the country has been economic. Look how it's in the long run torn us apart, right? And how much blood and treasure did we spend during the GWAT just to hand it all back, right? So that's the ongoing, if you will, legacy of 9/11 was the ways it changed the country.
Yeah. So, and Tony says, as you're talking to an airline pilot, I do think about you in that regard, and it scares the shit out of me. It scares the shit out of me because me and my family fly often. I mean, and I worry about every American, and the fact that there are tens of thousands. It said globally, the proliferation since, going back to the 80s when we were giving them to the Mujahideen to shoot down the Soviet Hind helicopters in Afghanistan till now, there could be upward as 50,000 of those out there on the black market.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not worried about the guy that wants 50,000 of them. I'm worried about the guy that I just need 5. Yeah. Just give me 5 and I can.
Yep.
Yeah. It's it scares the shiters out of me. But and here's another thing that scares the crap out of me. Thomas Crook, some 20-year-old freaking loser from Pennsylvania, is able to score almost a headshot on the most important man on the planet.
Yeah.
And who that other clown, Roush, whatever he was. Imagine if it was a coordinated attack on Supreme Court members.
Right.
Pick your person that doesn't have the Secret Service out there.
Yeah. And, and these folks are out walking around, right? I mean, you got to get from the building to the car for the most part, right?
And we got 400 million guns, guys. You can freaking, and I thank God for the 400 million guns. However, it creates some second, third order effects.
It does. And a wide open southern border. So even if, we were magically a giant gun free zone, well, ask Australia about that. I didn't see if Mark was on this morning or not, but they're having gun violence problems there. There was just recently an attack there with guns, right? With 2 shooters. And
shotgun and some sort of bolt action, wasn't it, Will?
It was, yep. And and we can remember what the police response was there as well, right? And as we're talking about that, and I'm not trying to just diss on cops here at all, but you don't know which cops are going to show up. Is it going to be the guys at Austin, right? Or is it going to be the guys at Uvalde?
Yep.
Right.
And you could say the same thing for Orlando. Pulse, didn't they hang out outside while he was we forget about that. We forget about that terrorist attack, don't we?
We do, yeah.
Pulse nightclub.
Yep. And also the school in Lauderdale, Parkland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where they were ordered to stay outside. A post-Columbine world, who stays outside? And I'm always reminded of the 2 SWAT guys from the neighboring county who heard about this. They were on their day off just hanging out. And these 2 SWAT guys, they hear about what's going on at Parkland. They drive over there and start kidding up. And the lieutenant says, you can't go in. They're like, yeah, well, I don't work for you. And they went in and they got fired.
Sends the wrong message.
It does. Now one of those
there was an FFDO that got fired, didn't he, down in Fort Lauderdale? I think it was a shooting at the airport, and he draws out. Oh, you don't know that one?
No, I don't know that one.
I'll have to send it to you.
Okay.
He draws out his gun and runs down there, and it all devolves. He stows his gun away like nothing happened, but they saw it on surveillance cameras that he had did it, and they're like, "You're fired."
Yep. So and one of the with the Parkland SWAT guys, they went in. By then he was gone, and they got fired. And one of the sheriffs you see on YouTube all the time was like, "Hey, you guys need a job. You're my kind of people."
Amen.
But so the point being, in fairness, let's say you've got someplace like one of these medium-sized cities, 500,000. Just make it generic. You get 2, 3, 4 attacks going on in the same city. Yeah, this is going to paralyze that police department. And I'm not being disrespectful to them. They only have so many resources. A person or persons can only process so much information at a time. But let's take that a step further. What if communication isn't working? Those SIM card farms they found in New York City just prior to the UN meeting, remember those?
Oh, yeah.
And that would overwhelm the cell networks. And how are the majority of first responders now dispatched? It's through cell networks. It's not radios. So this is something that, we got to look at. Something we need to consider is, there may not be help on the way anytime soon.
You're your own first responder, folks.
That's it.
Said it on here for.
Let's go back up to Dara's comment about Schlichter's book here. Yeah, what's he have to say there?
In Schlichter's book, day 1 was multiple 4-man teams attacking public places, schools, malls, office buildings, etc. Day 2, they hit the suburbs because the government told everyone to stay home. Day 3 was infrastructure, power plants, oil refineries, water supplies. Yeah, I think the script is for these kind of attacks are already there.
Yeah.
And we have to admit they're very motivated to do it. They've shown a willingness across the globe to do this. So,
yep. So, sorry guys, I'm just watching the market here. So this is one. Okay, total segue moment. I don't even know AeroVironment. Okay, ticker symbol AVAV, Alpha Victor, Alpha Victor. Full disclosure, I own some of it. I don't even. I know they do something with drones. I don't know anything else about them. It was a total flyer. Nancy Pelosi stock trader, something like that on Twitter. They follow congressional trades, and about a week ago, 2 or 3 Congress critters bought this stock. So I took a flyer and bought some. It's up 16% today, so that doesn't
Weird.
suck. Yeah, so it's almost like they know stuff. So, yeah.
I want to go to this Dr. Fuller's comment here. It says
All right,
we had open cases and we're looking to track the Stingers and SA-7s down back in Afghanistan when I was there 20 plus years ago. Speaking of Afghanistan and Pakistan are trading blows. And we already talked about the mob of people that tried to take over the U.S. consulate or U.S. embassy, multiple attacks across that country, anywhere that had American infrastructure in Pakistan. And I'm so proud of the Marines because they reminded me of Dan Daly, one of the only Marines that won the Medal of Honor twice. And when he was a young private, he was sent up to the U.S. consulate during the Boxer Rebellion in 1901. And the next morning, he couldn't get relief. He was out on the very point. All he had was this bolt action naval rifle and a bunch of ammo and 1 canteen of water. And they counted over 200 dead and dying around his sector of fire. One Marine with 1 rifle. And I think that's what is going on right now at the consulate. And you talking about thoughts and prayers, man.
Yeah.
Are surrounded, overwhelmed, hopefully. And that's why the Marine Corps has what's called FAST teams, Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Teams. And they'll probably be flying those guys in soon to beef up security there. Prayers for that. What does Dr. Fuller say?
And this is something I'm going to have a couple thoughts on this. Liability involved for departments when members self-deploy into hot scenarios is a huge concern for administrators, which makes it easier to lose sight of the short-term goal of saving lives. It can also confuse an already confused situation if it has not been trained for. All this combines with bosses who are already highly risk-adverse to cement the idea that one must slow down and wait, even at the cost of lives, which is simply ridiculous. This is an excellent point because we've gone from, and in too many cases, we've gone from police leadership to police management.
Amen.
And they're more worried about that liability side, which I get. I get it. I mean, we all worry about liability, right? That's why there's CCW Safe and USCCA and why many, if not all of us, have those policies, right? So we worry about those things. But there's a time to go from worrying about those things to worrying about, as Dr. Fuller says, save lives. And then we'll figure out the details later. So, and hit Tony's point dead on.
Yeah. Let me read that real quick. It says Afghanistan has $80+ billion worth of U.S. military assets thanks to the Democrats' deep state. And maybe this, again, is some kind of 4D chess. We're going to leave it on the ground as a check against Pakistan. I don't know. I mean, I doubt it, but
yeah.
But, are we heading to World War III, though? That's another one. Is this a regional conflict? Is the fact that China is involved and we're choking it off going to lead to some sort of World War III is the unknown variable, I think, right now.
Yeah, I agree. And, there's no way of knowing that because there's so many ways it can branch off, right?
Yeah.
So, but to Dr. Fuller's thing too, for us as, protectors for our families, stop and think about this. You may not get a response in the way we are accustomed to getting responses to emergency situations. Perhaps they're just completely overwhelmed. And in that way, I mean, there's too many things to respond to, but perhaps they're overwhelmed because the bad guys get inside their OODA loop and they can't run the flow chart fast enough. Right. So
can I speak to some of this from my days of disaster relief operations? I was a director of a disaster relief operation, and my boss calls in and says, "Rich, maybe you should put these county EMA directors in contact with her. She says, I don't think they're talking to each other. I'm like, well, surely she's got to be wrong, right? So I get a conference call going. I got them all on my iPhone. I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden, like, one of the county EMA directors, emergency management agency directors, goes, "Hey, are y'all getting any 911 calls?" And the other guy's like, "No, it's pretty quiet here." He's like, "Yeah, I know, because they're all being routed to us." So their net was dead, and they were just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, like, "Well, I guess nobody needs us." Well, of course they need you. And there was all kinds of infrastructure problems because cell towers were down and other repeater towers were down, so nobody could talk to each other. And so just that little call, we were able to get some things figured out. And then they're like, I got calls for people coming in on roads that have 20 miles with the trees down. I cannot get them. They're not going to make it. I mean, it's just like, there's just nothing to be done. Or there's people calling like, if I don't get insulin, Granny's ain't going to make it. Well, I can't get I don't have a helicopter sitting here in this rural county. There's nothing coming. You can either try to hump out, get a chainsaw, get something. It's just not happening. And I don't think people realize this. Haywood County in North Carolina during that recent storm, the hurricane that somehow delivered rain to the mountains of biblical proportions, they experienced the same thing. There was we sent a crew up there from the construction company I run to cut people and try to excavate and get these people out, and they hadn't been out in weeks. Yeah. They're stuck up in the mountains.
Yep.
So imagine a targeted attack. This is Mother Nature playing games. Imagine a coordinated, well thought out targeted attack. We would be screwed.
Yep. And imagine, obviously during a natural disaster like Helene, or pick your hurricane or other natural disaster, there's fear there, right? But it's fear against something you can recognize, right? How many people can recognize and reconcile, a Mumbai style attack? So then how many people are going to make rational decisions at that point? Right. And then where do you go? If you hear hospitals are under attack, where do you go with injury? Right. Do most people have supplies to even go to if they hear the medical center, the hospital nearest you is under attack, hear that somehow, or get close enough to realize that's what's happening, do they even know where the next one is?
And this has happened all over the world. The thing that Will's talking about is not like hypothetical, guys. This has happened multiple times, whether it's Islamists taking over ones in the Philippines or in Indochina. It just happens all over the place, sadly. Let's see. Dr. Fuller says a Sergeant Major retired buddy of mine was involved in the hurricane in North Carolina. He had bug out gear and was well prepared to bug in if needed, and it all got buried in a mudslide that wiped out his basement.
Yep.
Yeah. And Cruz is on. He says Semper Fi, AWS member up there in Rhode Island, coin number 1928. Johnny King says also helps that coming may be prioritized to your economic status and name recognition. Yeah, that's a fact.
All true. Yeah, there are so many facets to this, guys, that once you start going down this rabbit hole, it never really ends. Do you have friends, family members that work at a hospital? What do you do if they work at one of these? They, say it fits the criteria, smaller city with a higher level trauma center, right? Let's say it doesn't fit that criteria, and we start to see something like this happen. Then what? Do they stay at work?
Right.
So I encourage everybody, think these things through. So have some sort of a structure in your mind. We don't want to get to such a concrete plan that there's no flexibility, right?
Yep.
But what if this? I've what if this to death?
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Well, Kyle Morgan. Do you know who Kyle Morgan is?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Delta Force guy, operator. I'm trying to get him on the show.
Okay.
He won the Distinguished Service Cross for one of these hotel sieges somewhere in Africa, in Mali or wherever it was.
I believe it was Bali. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hotel what they call it. Some blue is in the name, but yeah.
I don't know, but the Special Air Service guy, Craig, I don't Christian
Christian
Craighead.
Craighead, yeah.
Yeah, that's not his
Obi-Wan
real name.
Nairobi, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, this happens
Yeah.
sadly all the time, but with so much going on in the news, you just can't keep up with it. It's
Right.
just a blip here, a blip there. Well, Kyle Morgan, this Delta guy who just happened to be a JSOC rep at the embassy, he hears it going on. He grabs his kit. There's a couple of MARSOC operators there too. He's like, "Kid up, let's go." And they're like, "Well, we got to call back to Camp Lejeune." Like, ain't no calling back to nobody. We're going.
Yeah.
This is a priority of life issue. So I think that right there, that level of mindset should clear up a lot of this. Well, can I do that? Hey man, priority of life.
Yep.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What does Johnny says here?
Gangs will turn into wolves, creating an even more dangerous environment. Yeah, if you get to break down a law, absolutely. And I have brought Johnny's point up to people, and they're like, "Really? Seriously?" I'm like, "Well, look what happened during Summer of Love 2.0. As soon as the cops pulled back a little bit, different scenario for why they weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line was they weren't there. And what happened? We know what happened. They looted and rioted all those areas. Well, again, the gang members aren't stupid. They understand the environment they're working in. And if suddenly there's no one there to, suppress them, they're going to take advantage of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget that during, Summer of Love 2.0, and back to whoever's comment that was about it was Johnny King again with the economic status and name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
When did they? The one I remember is Minneapolis area. The cops pretty much just let everybody have their way, in Minneapolis until they started pushing out into the suburbs. And then suddenly it's like, we got to do something.
It's the same damn thing for what Tony says here. And that is, what will armed populace and the authorities' relationship look like during the disaster? Look at Katrina.
Yep.
When those people started walking down I-10 towards Slidell, that was not as affected. There was a wall of people there with rifles, like, turn your ass around and go back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
I hear the Superdome's open, go.
Yeah.
So it's like, so much for neighborly love, man. They were,
Yeah.
You're not bringing your trash into our town. So
Right.
turn around or get shot. And there was a lot of people killed on that bridge and dumped in the bayou, I'm sure. And Katrina's a great, wonderful test case for what can happen here.
Mm-hmm.
And, the National Guard presence that was in the Superdome, once they got attacked and one guy got his M16 taken, they just wrapped concertina wire around him and like, we're just going to wait right here. We ain't going out into that mob.
Yeah.
So take the racial element out of it and just look at it from lessons learned perspective. And Katrina can teach us a tremendous amount of this kind of breakdown.
Yep, for sure.
And Chad was on a moment ago. Chad was there. The 82nd Airborne was deployed, and Chad was, doing house-to-house checks, with his armed platoon.
And let's not forget the other thing happening in Katrina, confiscate all guns.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So, and they did. They went. I don't know if it was as far as door to door, but I remember the famous video of the cop going over the top on the woman who was probably 70 something years old, if not 80.
Yeah, Chad's on. He's
okay.
Were y'all seasoned firearms, Chad? If you can let us know that would be interesting.
Because I remember NRA had a big fight trying to get those guns back to people, and of course they were just thrown in barrels and were useless by the time they got them back.
Yeah, you think you have them all. I don't have any guns here.
Yeah.
Lost them in an hunting accident.
It was a terrible boating accident.
You should have seen it.
Yeah. So,
we had some Mumbai slides up here, but I don't have the video footage for it.
Well, these are like hour-ish. So these are just up there for if anybody wants to take note of the title there that's highlighted. It's on YouTube. It's free. Great case study in how they were using communications during that time. And I've had people say, they'll just take the cell networks down. Well, there goes your communication too. Bingo. So what do you got now?
Yeah. Maybe
you should have a set of walkie-talkies. Or if you're there, I've got ham radio, guys. I cannot. I haven't prioritized. I'm not going to say I can't find the time. I haven't prioritized the time to get my ticket for those. That's a failure on my point. That is an ongoing failure.
Me too. And a lot of people in our community.
Yeah.
Communications is
well, and I will say that I'm not saying this out loud, FCC. Okay. But if the poop hits the fan big enough, come find me.
Oh, sure.
I'll cut you. I'll cut you a check for $250 for using the airways. So be it. Okay. But do you have something, some way to communicate? Even if it's just a walkie-talkie, 2 or 3 miles, is that enough? It's better than nothing, and they're cheap, right? So, if they take the cell networks down, now what? Yeah, it hurts the bad guys, right? Hurts the good guys too.
Yeah.
Especially if the cops are, using the cell networks to communicate with one another.
I'll get some of these comments if I could here. Dr. Fuller says the potential for general societal breakdown is my strongest of an argument to my wife to purchase a flamethrower. Okay. Now, again, we've had Manhar on here a couple times when they had the giant 100,000 plus person riots down in South Africa, and of course he owns a security company down there, so he was more prepared to deal with that than most people. But you talk about lessons learned, and one of the big ones is not everybody needs to be, get 5.56 green tip in the forehead. Some people need to get shot with less lethal. Some guy comes in with his 12-year-old son who's unarmed, but they're hungry. I don't necessarily want to put that kid down permanently, but having somebody do some cover with less lethal, rubber slugs is a good idea. So buy those now.
Yep.
After talking to Manhard, dude, I went out and bought a couple $100 worth of them. And me and my son have trained with them here in the yard with IDPA targets and stuff like that. Pretty accurate and pretty powerful. Might help change somebody's mind before they get, green tip.
Yep.
Chad says, nope, we were not allowed to do anything with civilians except offer them assistance to get them to the evac points. Dr. Fuller says, does anyone have a source for sting ball grenades? Yes, IWA is where I got mine. IWA, and they are lethal. You got to, they are less lethal and civilian compliant. And I think you have to take a test or something like that. But yeah.
Okay. Before we get off track here, can you bring those slides up with those Mumbai videos just so guys can take note of those? This one's Terror in Mumbai. From this Jimmy Sanders has it up there.
And the other one was Real Crime. Yeah.
Yep, Real Crime, Mumbai under siege inside the 2008 terror attacks. Both of those are quite good. I forget which one's which. One, you can actually listen to some of the comms between the guys at the Taj Mahal and back to Afghanistan. So very, very informative how the guys back in Afghanistan, the leaders were encouraging them and guiding them because there was the Victoria Station, which is the train station. There was Taj Mahal, which of course everybody knows. There was also a Jewish center that was attacked. And there's comms between the leaders and the guys at the Taj and at the Jewish center. So yeah. And to Dr. Fuller's point about the sting ball grenades, a while back, I think it was an offline conversation between the three of us. Dr. Fuller talked about how he's, sent out a link or whatever it was to a bump helmet. That rides around in the back of my truck with my get home bag and those things now. Get those things in place, guys, that, those boxes you've been meaning to check and fill. Now would probably be a good time to check and fill those boxes.
Yeah. We're this year at Taylor's video that he did of our high risk environment course. Did you see that yet?
I did, yes.
Yeah, it's about 20,000 views so far, so it's doing really well, which is, I'm getting all these emails from people like, how do I sign up? How do I sign up? Well, if you're thinking about signing up for this year's high risk environment course, it's going to be in November, going to be back here in Tennessee again. We're working on it. It's going to be a 1 week long curriculum again, and we're going to include some ham radio stuff. I think comms is everybody's, shortfall. Not everybody. I mean, there's people like Tony on here and Bob Beal and stuff that are doing fantastic things with comms. We're going to square that away. But we're also going to talk more about, how do you, if you have to abandon your truck and run because it's been surrounded, what does that look like? And a lot of it comes down to, I usually say people are lazy when the bolo comes out, be on the lookout or something like that. But think about what the bolo for me would be, right? Here's a middle-aged man, glasses, black thing, medium height, medium build kind of deal. I don't have to change much. If all of a sudden I put on and he's carrying a green backpack. Well, on the side compartment of my green backpack is a big yellow bag. I can stuff my green backpack in. I take this off, stuff it in the bag. I just disappeared. I mean, think about that. I am gone. Now, facial recognition, all this other crap will catch me later. What I'm saying is when the bolo comes out, we're looking for a white male with glasses, black fleece, and he's carrying a green backpack. Now you're looking, you're scanning as a law enforcement officer, and you see no glasses, guy's wearing some sort of colored-y, gay-looking shirt, and he's got a yellow handbag. This is not the guy. Keep moving. John says middle-aged. Hey, come on, man.
I think he meant you were younger than that. I think that's what he meant.
Dr. Fuller says you're giving him my best surveillance tricks there, Rich. Yeah, man. And we're going to talk about all this at high risk course and more to follow on that. But please go ahead and start booking on, planning on coming because we're going to fill up fast. I think this year.
Cool.
We got one more slide, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah. This will finish up our time well. So if you want to load that one up.
I do. I have it ready here.
Okay. This is Staff Sergeant Bellavia's portion of his speech at his Congressional Medal of Honor ceremony. I think it's a good way to finish out the show.
Do you know who this guy is? I mean, do you know why he won the Medal of Honor?
I read it at one point. One of his guys was taken during a fight, and he went and. Am I remembering the right guy?
No, I don't think necessarily. They actually, there was a documentary filmmaker that was going with the platoon when this they had to go into this house, and the lieutenant's like, "All right, who's going to go in there?" And, they're like, "Sure, I don't want to go in there." And it's crazy. It's caught on footage at night, and this staff sergeant, who just looks like an ordinary guy, he goes in, and guess what he does? It's John Wick, bro. It is John freaking Wick. He kills everybody in this house and drags the bodies out. And after about 2 or 3 bodies, and you just see a house and you see flashes of gunfire, or he's stabbing them and dragging dead bodies out one at a time. And finally, a couple other soldiers go, okay, now they see his courage and they're going to jump on the homicide train, and they clear this house. And I mean, I'm going to show you this guy here in a second, but I mean, just think about, I don't know how the man walks around with stones that size. I mean, he's an absolute stud.
Well, and to your point about appearance, it's don't judge the book by the cover.
Right? Oh no!
You see this guy walking down the street, you'd be like, "Hey, what's up, man?"
Yeah. You'd be making a huge mistake. Let's see if I'm having some. Why is StreamYard not wanting to put this up there? Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, there we go. No. Sorry, guys. It's a little clunky this morning. Apologize. It's going to be well worth your time, though.
And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Dude, I tell you, if you watch that if it wasn't captured on film of him just dragging one dead body after another out of that house, I'd be like, I don't know about that. Come on, man. You expect me to believe that? This ain't Hollywood. And yet there it is on tape. That is one of the baddest men this nation's ever produced. Freaking.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to track that down today.
Jeez.
Yeah.
If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
It gives
please
me
do.
chills. Jesus.
Yeah. So
Absolute stud.
Yep. So, guys, read up on the Mumbai stuff. Watch those documentaries. There's also House to House. Okay.
That's a book about his winning that honor. Yeah, I've got it. I haven't read it. Shame on me.
Okay. Take a look for that stuff. The Mumbai stuff. There's good resources out there. The movies, fictional, I guess I'll call them, are quite good and fairly, as far as Hollywood goes, fairly close to the facts. But read up on that stuff, think it through, and watch Sarah Adams' interview with you. I don't know if you guys touched on that or not, Rich. But
Now we mostly talked about the attack in Benghazi.
Okay. But watch her stuff on that. Follow her on Twitter. She puts stuff out there. There's other good resources out there about that whole subject area. Think it through. Come up with a plan, because if it lights off, it's gonna be literally world changing for the United States. So, with that, brother, I know you got a hard out time, and we're just past that, so we'll call that it for the day.